It was really graceful the way you handled just sort of the conversation about you being 27 and playing a kid. And I think after people see the movie, I think there is no Evan Hansen without you. So
I appreciate that.
I'm just like, has no one seen Grease?
I'm excited people to see the movie. I think it'll speak for itself.
Absolutely.
When you don't feel strong enough to stand,
A lot of people feel like us.
you can reach out your hand.
Stephen, what was sort of your take on this property? It's so beloved by so many people, but what about it made it cinematic to you?
Well, I guess you say it's beloved by people. I was one of those people because I loved the show. When I saw it, I was incredibly moved. I went in, I didn't know what it was about. Literally, it's like a complete blind viewing. I knew Waving maybe, I'd heard it a couple of times. Yeah. So I was riveted. So what felt cinematic to me was, I saw it enough times, so I was like, if you're looking over here, you're not catching the fact that Larry's having a breakdown during You Will Be Found. If you're looking here, and I just became obsessed with the idea of like, what would this show look like in close-up? In real rooms. What would it look like if we actually saw the moment when Larry breaks, where we actually felt that the actual living room with Heidi and Evan, and I just became obsessed with the characters because the characters are so beautifully written, and I just thought that the lens could add a lot of intimacy and emotion to an already beautifully intimate show.
Do you remember the first time you played this character?
Was doing Book of Mormon at the time, and Benj and Justin, who I had previously auditioned for a different piece, came to see me in the show and came backstage and said, we're doing this reading of this untitled piece that we wrote and with this playwright, Stephen Levenson, and will you come and just do the first cold read? And so I was given no information about like subject matter or the character. I think they really wanted to see just kind of what happened spontaneously, sort of serendipitously. So I remember being in a tiny little rehearsal room in New York and walking in, and it was like Rachel Bay Jones, Michael Park, Jennifer Laura Thompson, myself, and some other people, and opening it up and reading it for the first time. And obviously it's come a long way since then and it's changed a lot, but the voice of Evan and the freneticism and the emotionality, all that stuff was there from the very first day. So I think it's just really exciting that, all of those gems and the essences of what made it special are still here all the way to the film. But yeah, I'll certainly never forget reading it for the first time. And all the songs were there already, Waving, and If I Could Tell Her, and For Forever, from day one were there. So it's very gratifying to see it now on the big screen.
Absolutely. And Colton, you've been around this property for a long time too.
Yeah, I've been hanging on the coattails for a while. I joined a little bit later. I was a young lad in college, and they were going to Broadway, and I just was at the right place at the right time, I guess. And I joined them, actually, their last dress rehearsal for Broadway, and I came in as I was an understudy for all the young men. Yeah, and I've been loving the experience ever since.
I mean, I was there very early on after the Broadway show opened, and there in the 10th row with my daughter on one side and my husband on the other when Ben started to sing, and it was the most electric, unusual, alive musical performance I'd ever seen in my entire life, and I was like, whoa! And the show completely captivated me and was so much about an adolescent experience, which my children were going through at the time. But then, of course, where it left me at the end was that there was this incredible parental point of view, too, with Heidi, and I just couldn't believe how insightful it was, how touching it was, and how true it was. So when I was offered the opportunity to do this, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, yes! I remember when it came out, my agent was like, is there something else you'd like to do this year? And I'm like, please, dear Evan Hansen, that's what and I never thought it would be possible. So I feel so grateful to have had this opportunity in this beautiful, beautiful film.
Regretfully, I never saw the actual musical on stage, but having read the book and listened to the music, and then having a conversation that was supposed to last 15, 20 minutes and ended up lasting about close to 2 hours with the two Stevens, I became obsessed with needing to play Larry, being a father of two adolescent boys and knowing the impact that it could have on them and the awareness that it brought to me as a parent of the things that we could be missing, right? I felt like there was a socially resonant message that needed to be delivered along with the impact of playing this character. So I absolutely became obsessed with being a part of this project.
Nick and Amandla, I mean, obviously you're the newbies. What was that like, sort of stepping into this, very sacred property for a lot of young people and for everyone, really?
Intimidating?
Scary.
Scary?
Yeah.
It's very special, though. This show and story means so much to so many people, and I think for me, I just wanted to make sure I was doing it justice to the fans and to the people that are emotionally invested in this story.
Yeah, same. We had a lot of extras on set who were huge fans of Dear Evan Hansen, and that made it even more special. Just that they were like freaking out, seeing like Ben perform You Will Be Found, like in that auditorium. Moments like that were so, so special. And even being around them on set made me feel like so supported and loved in this role. And I felt so deeply connected to them. I think like the kids who love this piece and me have a lot in common in terms of like not always knowing how to present to the world or just dealing with anxiety or depression or social anxiety and discomfort or whatever it may be. And so just to hopefully make something that they really love. I already feel really connected to them. I'm really grateful to them for their support, and I'm just excited for them to see it.
What was the experience like when you saw the cut for the first time?
It was overwhelming. It was really, I got to see it on a big screen, which was really lucky. In watching it, I started taking notes, as I do, and then at a certain point, I just kind of stopped and just allowed the experience to unfold, which was really incredible. It's always really exciting to see something for the first time, especially something, when you've worked on something and you've written it, it gets transformed and transmogrified by all of these incredible talents. Right. And I think the thing I was most struck by were these performances, quite frankly, and just the rawness and the realness and the passion and just the dedication. I mean, you just feel it, like these actors giving their all. And so I thought it was thrilling and electrifying.
I can remember the day that we were shooting Waving Through a Window, and I'm supposed to be driving him to school, and it's that thing where you're inside the story while he's inside his head singing the song, right? Yeah. So there's this duality as I'm driving and doing my thing and acting like I can't hear him singing. He's singing next to me this famous, beautiful song, and and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I mean, it really was so wonderful and exciting to be a part of something like that historically. Yeah, then I had to hit my mark. But to think like, oh wow, this is like I'm in a movie musical and I'm watching one of the premier, vocalists of our time inhabit this moment, and I get to be here and feel it and see it, and also watch him. It's so effortless, seemingly. I mean, it's the way he produces that crazy sound, right? And anyway, it was a joy. It was really thrilling.
I couldn't figure out how he was doing it because he never took a break. No. He never phoned it in. It was always so important to him as a performer, but also so vital to the character to be able to express what he needed to express in that moment, in that song. And to be in the same room with him for take 7. And the tears are still coming. He's incredibly connected to the character. And you're just thinking on a physiological level, how can you sing and be so emotional at the same time? When I get emotional, I can't even talk, as you all know. So he's an incredible talent, and beyond that, to be that dedicated to the character.
For young actors with profiles, I mean, how much did you relate to sort of individual characters and just the plight everyone kind of has to with presenting a public face, being accepted while seemingly excessively sharing everything?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I think a huge amount. I mean, obviously, I've spent a lot of time with Evan, and I think it's a very kind of blurred line in terms of him and I and my own anxieties and things like that. And in terms of the hyperconnectivity, social media of it all, I feel like the piece has always taught me and continues to teach me in a new way in the film how important it is to differentiate things that are virtual or made up or crafted or whatever it may be, and the things that are really real and human and the connections that really matter, and making sure that you're not looking to social media or to the response to your online presenting of yourself or any of that to fill you up as a person, and to make sure that you're keeping that in its own compartment that holds a lot less weight than your family, your friends, the people who can look at you as a 360 person in real life and know who you are and know what you stand for and what's in your heart, and how to approach social media with that in mind, so that you can get the good things from it, like building community and finding connection and feeling less alone, especially if you're a young person growing up in a place where there aren't a lot of people around you that you connect to. So yeah, it's always helped me to keep that in perspective, and now more than ever.
I agree with everything you said. But yeah, it is so easy now to kind of read into or judge people off of the perception that they present, or the concept of self that they present to the world, on social media. It's so easy to see only one facet or narrative of their lives and not know what's happening beyond that. It's easy for us to make judgments of each other, really, really critical, tough judgments of each other on the internet. It's easy to swim and get lost in the mess of all of that. And so hopefully the movie is kind of a reminder of our shared humanity, that we don't always know what people are going through, that most people are going through something, that it's really easy to kind of be fooled in this particular moment where we've all learned how to kind of brand and present ourselves no matter who we are.
The message in the film that resonates most with me is that depression and anxiety don't look just one way.
Right.
And it really manifests in a lot of different ways in different people. And no matter how it manifests, it's okay, and we're all going through it.
Yeah, I'll add. I've seen this thing through many a time, and when I first came to it, it was a very healing process for me because I had lived through a very public tragedy a couple times in my life, and I didn't realize how much judgment or anger or resentment or whatever it was that I was harboring because of the painting of these things that was happening online. Mm-hmm. This sort of taking the facts of real hurt, of real emotion, of real grief, and painting this other way. And I remember watching last night thinking about and just believing in it so much again because we're all holding on to some very collective trauma, and we're kind of grieving a nation, a world, a global crisis. Mm. And I think it's an important reminder yet again of just giving ourselves the air to just actually fully grieve and not try to paint it online or try to change the narrative of what it is, And I think that's why watching Evan this time was so special to me, and understanding going how easy it is to get swept up in what is not real and what is. Yeah. So yeah, it was a different circumstances, and I think that's what makes this show so special, is that even under different circumstances, it still resonates so deeply.